Hello friends, I hope everybody's doing good. Okay, so in this video, I want to show you what I check when I buy a used two-cycle machine. This happens to be a Ryobi handheld two-cycle blower, and this what I'm going to show you holds true with all brands. First thing I did, my friend Mike bought this at a garage sale the other day, and he paid $15 for it. The first thing I did was I checked the air filter. It's like brand new. This machine looks like it hasn't ran for 5 minutes in its life, but it did have a little gas in it. The gas didn't smell bad, and I poured some out in here, and it has a tinted color, which is good. That means they made the mix. They mixed the gas with the two-cycle oil. So that's pretty cool right there. That's a good thing to see right there. And then the next thing I did was I checked the fuel lines in there, and they're very pliable there, and they're very pliable up to where it goes to the carburetor. And like I said, the air filter was clean, but I put the air filter back on because I'll show you why in a little bit. So the first thing I'm going to do is, I was going to prime it and just try to start it with the gas that's in there, but I'd rather not. I'm going to dump the rest of this gas out of the tank here, and I'll put my two-stroke fuel in. That's the best thing you can do. So after I dump the gas out, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the spark plug out, check the condition of the spark plug, see how it looks, and then what I'll do is I'll prime it with some two-stroke. I don't know when the last time this thing ran, but I like to quench the piston in the cylinder in there with some two-stroke with the oil. I don't believe in just taking the plug out and shooting starting fluid or brake clean or anything flammable in, because these need oil too. So I'm going to do that, and let me just explain to you that if I prime this and I put the spark plug back in and connect the spark plug wire, and you're still getting nothing, well, first of all, make sure that your kill switch is on start. But this one here has a spring one, so it's always on. To shut it off, you would just spring that back and it'll shut the machine off. And also, after priming it and I put the plug in, like I said, and I hook up the spark plug wire, and you're still getting nothing, the next thing you're going to want to do is check it for spark. And you can either use spark plug tester, which I have here. Now, if you don't have a spark plug tester, you can take the spark plug out, hook up the ignition wire to the spark plug, of course, ground out the plug, and just give it a few pulls, and then you'll see down by the electrode in the spark plug if it's sparking or not. If it's sparking and you're still getting nothing, like I said, after you primed it, next thing you want to do is go after checking the cylinder and the piston. You could do that by either pulling the muffler off, and you get the piston in the position where you can see it if it's all scraped up, or if you have a camera, once you have the spark plug out, if you have a camera, you can stick your probe down in there and take a look at the cylinder wall. And if the cylinder wall is all scorched up and whatever, like a machine like this, to me, or is not even worth fixing. You probably have to get a cylinder, piston rings. Not even worth fixing it. Like an Echo or a Steel, and you like the machine a lot, yeah, then it would be worth it to fix it. But these are like throwaway machines here, Ryobis and whatnot. I mean, I've used Ryobis here at the yard, like the weed whacker. I got a couple of years out of it. Then I was given us problems. I don't know, it had like too much compression. I cleaned out the carbon. It seems to be alright, but I haven't used it. The reason why I want to keep that weed whacker is I have the attachment for the chainsaw to cut branches down and stuff, which I haven't had to do yet. But anyway, enough talk, and I'm going to pull the spark plug out. We'll prime it, put the plug back in. I'll drain the gas tank out in the meantime, and we'll see if it starts. It could probably start with this gas in it. It smells like gas, and it doesn't smell like it went bad, and you just saw how it looks in there. It has a bluish tint to it, so whoever had the machine, I don't know what the story, you never know when you buy these things what the story is. Maybe the guy that had the garage sale got a landscaper to do his work, or I don't know what the story is with that, but I'll be back to you in a minute. Okay, so let's see if we can help Mike out with this today. Mike's been helping me out a lot because I really can't drive yet, and he's been taking me. Anytime I call him, he picks me up the next day and he takes me. Some of you know what's going on with my eyes. So this is a 3/4 inch socket I'm using. Sometimes these plugs could be tough to take out, but this one's not. I guess nobody's really worked on this or done anything to this. So we'll take the plug out, I'll put some fuel in there. What I did with this gas is I put it in my bottle that I use to prime stuff with. But because I think it's still flammable gas, I did that. Fuel should be all right. Now let me see if I can do this without spilling this all over. You just want to put a very little bit in there just to quench it. But I usually pour too much in now all the time. I'm usually good for that. But I think we're all right. Here. Another thing too, if you're getting spark and you're still getting nothing, if you have a compression gauge, I think I mentioned it already. Yeah, you can check the compression with compression gauge, or like I said, pull the muffler off. I probably said that already. I just want to see if we can get anything out of it before we put some gas in the gas tank. We'll do that, and then I'll continue explaining some other stuff to you. Yeah, it feels like it's got pretty good compression. We're not going to choke it or anything because I primed it. We just want to get a little something out of it for now. It even seems like, because I dumped out the gas in the gas tank, but I guess the fuel and the fuel lines were still good, and it was using that to keep running. So that's pretty cool right there. Okay, so next step, yeah, you got lucky with this, because sometimes you buy these, what happens is people just run straight gas in them, and they look like brand new, and you pay 15 or 20 bucks for it, and you get it home, and no matter what you don't do, it doesn't start. If you're not used to it, you don't know to pull the muffler off and take a look at the piston, then you're beat. But if you're fixing these up, if you pay like 10 or 15 bucks for these, there's a lot of good parts you could take off them if the engine's no good. So, okay, so another thing I want to get to show you here. Yeah, let me take you off camera a second. Okay, so we'll put some gas in it, and we'll start it up. And I just wanted to show you here, these are the carburetor adjustment screws. Some carburetors only have one, and I think that might just be for the high speed when they only have one. I'm not sure, but you have two here. Okay, so the one closest to the engine would be your low speed. The one towards the air filter here is your high speed adjustment. Sometimes you get these things to start up and it'll idle. As soon as you go to hit the throttle, it'll stall or want to stall. What I begin with is the low here. I adjust the low. You turn this like counterclockwise to give it more fuel, and then it won't do that anymore, but you're not getting a high RPM yet. Then you would adjust the high speed adjustment here till you get the high RPM. I usually max the RPM out all the way, and then I turn the screw in just a little bit to bring the RPMs down a little bit. On my machines, I run them to where it's high all the way up, and I just leave it high all the way up, because with the weed whacker, when it's under a load, it's good to have that power. But if you're not experienced and you're just revving the heck out of it without even weed whacking high grass, you could damage the engine, I would assume. So this has a special tool you have to use. Years ago, you could get away with a flat blade screwdriver. You could adjust any carburetor with a flat blade screwdriver, but now, over the years now, they got real fancy here, and you have to have a special tool here to adjust the carburetor. And I got this set here from HIPA. I always called it HIPA, but it's HIPA, but I never got used to calling it that. But anyway, they sent me this set. I think the set's like $20. It has every single adjustment tool that you would ever need for any machine, it seems. It took me 10 minutes to find the right one for this one. I'm going to put this one in my toolbox. I'm going to stick in the drawer in the toolbox inside the shop here, because that's the one I most commonly use anyway. So what I'll do is I'll put gas in it right now, and we'll see if we have to adjust the carburetor some. So just remember what I said about the carburetor adjustments, how to adjust them. Now, sometimes you'll get a machine where no matter what you do to adjust the carburetor, it's just not right. You know, it's either dirt in the carburetor or the diaphragm in the carburetor went bad. These carburetors are like $16 to buy new. It's not even worth playing with the old one. And the new carburetor will come with the carburetor. It usually comes with two extra primer bulbs, the gasket you need, an air filter, a spark plug. I don't have much faith in the spark plugs they give you. What else does it come with? Sometimes they even come with the adjustment tool. But I've had good luck with HIPA carburetors. The only thing I don't like about them is this. They claim that you could just throw the carburetor on the machine and not have to adjust it. Well, 1 out of 5 so far for me, I didn't have to adjust. What happens, you know, I guess when the engine starts wearing some, you're going to have to make an adjustment on your carburetor. So I don't really agree with that. But otherwise, I've had the best luck with these carburetors. So let me put you back on the tripod. We'll start it up. After I put the gas in it, we'll see how it runs. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is make sure I can prime it. Sometimes you start priming, and what'll happen is the button will stay in. That means there's a clog in the carburetor somewhere. So we're going to just keep priming it here. Get some gas in there. That seems to be alright. This choke here, when you choke it and you hit the throttle, the choke will come off automatically. But I always like to warm things up before I make any adjustments. So I'm going to start it up and let it run. I might take you off camera for about, I like to let it run for about 2 or 3 minutes, and you don't need to sit there and watch this run. Okay, so the only thing I'm noticing, I let it run for 2 minutes, is the base idle speed. I want to turn that up a little bit. Now it's a completely separate screw for the base idle speed. It's usually a slotted screwdriver you would use or a Phillips head. This one has a Phillips head. So I'll start it up now, adjust that, let it run a little bit, and then we'll close out here. I don't think there's anything more I need to tell you on when you buy something used. So just make sure you don't spend too much money when you're buying something used and it doesn't, and it's not running. First thing I usually do is take the gas cap off and take a look at the gas in there and take a whiff of it. And sometimes I just let them go when they're that bad. If they stink real bad and the gas looks like it's rust. But yeah, let's start it up. And sometimes you gotta choke them every time. High speed is good. It's just the base idle I'm on. Let's try to turn it up just a little bit. Best thing you can do is have a tachometer to see the RPMs and everything, but I usually go by, here. It's actually not too bad. So after you adjust the base idle speed, which we just did, and I'm happy with the way that sounds, yeah, give it a few revs and then let it idle again and make sure it's okay. So I hope this video helps somebody out, and thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.